I'm trying to think of how long you've been here, but I guess the start of your third
Yep.
season here. So, can you talk about your journey here? You've been here through some big moments. What it's been like for you to integrate with this club now that you can look back on it and see it. What's it been like for you?
It's been fantastic. I thought coming in, I had been at a place for 11 years, and I think you get to a point where you maybe need a change for growth. I'm still a believer that there's so much to learn in the game of soccer. It's always evolving. It's always changing, and not from like in every 5 years. It's like yearly. Someone comes up with new tactics. So that was part of it. The evolving part. Another part, mentorship. I thought the staff that's here has seen it, been through it all, and in the club what it demands. Getting to championships. And I think my journey, when I look back on it, I've been asked in the past. I thought I've made the right decision. And coming here, I've been in 2 championships, the League's Cup, with the group, and CONCACAF Cup, and got to experience a World Cup of clubs. So it's definitely been the right decision for my journey and for my growth.
Mm-hmm. You talk about the this year's squad. What do you see from the mix of players that you have? Some older guys and then some younger guys.
Yeah,
it's really different.
I think there's a really good balance. A lot of good new energy. Guys that came in, I'll mention a few, just like the drafts like Kalani and Tino, and then adding young Stewart, Georgie from Defiance. Like, these guys have added, that little extra push and competitiveness and training that helps elevate the training, because the guys are competitive. Yeah, at times we get a little comfortable, and all of a sudden you add some guys that are hungry, and then it sparks. It sparks, and I think that it's been really fantastic this preseason to see the competitiveness as the whole collective.
Freddie, you talk about new guys. What have you seen from Pedro de la Vega so far?
He's special. Just watching him in the small-sided, and when he gets to the ball, his first thought is goal. I got to get to goal, and then it's putting the opponent on their heels. It's not just about him, though. He can create those moments, but you'll see good little combination around the box, creative combination, in a combination to not keep the ball, but a combination to get him hopefully looking at goal. So now it's either another pass or a shot.
There was so much talk when he first arrived about his flexibility to play any of the 3 spots. As an assistant coach who works with the tactics, how much fun has that been able to kind of just play around with what position's best for him?
Yeah, no, it's right now we've used him a little bit more in the wing and in the 10 role, and it's fun. It's fun because leave aside just that he can play everywhere. He's a footballer. He wants to play anywhere. It's just what he does when he gets the ball. It's just it adds that, like, guys, we were really good at defending last year, and in moments really good in attacking. We changed our style of play, but now what Preki and Brian have been really preaching in the final third, we've created this structure when we're in the attack, but we also now want creativity out of that structure, and really being aggressive to getting to goal. And I think he adds a little bit of that element.
How much is the communication in the final third, if they are attacking, just from your midfielders or the holding ones, to be able to either control the ball or come back? Because they're going to be up there, and you're going to have that gap, that second to third.
Yeah, again, with our structure, in an ideal world, you're in a 3-2 base, right? And then you have 5 players between the lines. In moments, it'll last for rotating one of your pivots up higher, or maybe releasing one of your 3 from the back, of the outside back 3. It's still a concept for us is that we're always in active defending, and that minimum 4 players we want to have behind the ball. Ideal world is a 3-2, 5 players behind the ball, but that can't always happen. You got to throw in different looks at your opponent, and we just got to make sure that we are in good positioning as a back 4 or 5 to defend a loss of possession. But prior to that, what's our reactions like when we lose the possession? Are we aggressive enough to not allow the team to quickly play a forward pass, if you will? And I thought last year, when you look at the stats, we were decent in those moments. Sorry.
No, excuse me. And one of the other expectations you had last year was in terms of once you get the ball to make that first pass, maybe 7 yards downfield. How much have you emphasized that again? That's that turnover and get aggressive.
Yeah, we always want to threaten the goal. So whatever moment we recover the ball, any part of the field that we recover the ball, our first coaching and objective is, can we go forward, attack the goal? When that's not allowed because the opponent does a good job of not allowing that, then now we got to think we've been really preaching playing out of the recovery zone. So because usually where you win it, there's going to be congestion there. Can we play out of that area and then advance the ball through a different area? So that's been a common theme that we've preached throughout the preseason.
You coached Albert through some pretty successful years at RSL. What do you think that he, and you've always been with him here too, but what do you think he has to offer now? What else does he have to offer now that he's going to be playing higher up the field?
Consistency and positioning, right? He was able to just help us in what we needed at the moment, and you saw as he got that consistency of games, all of a sudden he was getting himself in better position, and he's a good finisher. So we can put him there and give him more opportunities throughout a game instead of maybe 2 times. Can we get him there 6, 7 times in a day? Then I think he becomes a guy that all of a sudden can reach 7 to 12 goals. He has that in him. But now I think and I hope that he responds to it. Now we put him in a position that he can consistently get 20 or so games. I don't want to throw a number on it, but that it's not just 7 games or whatever amount that we did last year, but we give him his fair shot, and he has the qualities to really good technically between the lines, and he has a really good strike of the ball that we can get him in those positions more often so he can get more goals.
Do you think it's helped him at all to have spent the last 2 years or most of the last 2 years in a different role, or is that something that it's going to be more of he's got to kind of relearn some things?
No, he's an intelligent player. Albert's been around. I know even with the Slovakian team moments, he played as the 8. Sometimes he double pivot. So for me, knowing him, and he comes from a coaching background, his father's a coach and all that, I know that he understands the value of what happens behind him too, and the value that pivots bring to breaking up plays, that it also helps him in appreciation up the field of what those players got to bring. It's starting with pressing right away so he can line up the load for the guys behind those moments. What pass when he was a pivot was he looking for and positioning from the guys between the lines? Now I know where I wanted players, I can put myself. So it all ties in. He's a student of the game, and he's really smart towards that, so I think it's beneficial. He didn't forget about it.
In that sense, what kind of role do you expect him to play off the field? Do you see him as I don't know, how do you see him?
Well, when he came into RSL, I remember him coming in 23, 24 years old, right? And coming into where a legend had just left, as a young player. And now I expect from him after, when was it, 2018 that he came in, 2017. So, it's been 6 years, 7 years in the league now that he's up there in age where he's at a good level now of reaching his prime and getting to his prime in times where experience off the field and helping the collective and leading a group is really, really important. I don't think we could have asked that when he just got to the league, but now he's seen it all. He's been in championship games. He's been in playoff games. He's seen ups and downs of this league. He's seen the travel. There is no excuse now. It's a player that has now experienced and seen it all, that he's got to now help lead the group.
Go ahead.
Yeah, how does Albert's style and Pedro's style complement each other? Are you going to be able to do things with those two that we haven't seen from Albert yet?
I think exciting. We had a little on, Wednesday's training session. We had some 7v7s, and they were both on the same team, and there was some fantastic combination play that you see in street soccer. And you don't teach that stuff. You can talk about combination play, and we'll have a principle when we have here, we want 2 to 3 player combination play and all that, but it just comes out. Players they're attracted to good players, and it comes out, and it was really fun to see. I can't wait to see it on a bigger space in the field and get them in numbers, but they understand each other already. They understand football, so it'll be a nice little match.
How have you seen him change since you first met him?
Albert?
Yeah.
Defensively, I think he's grown in that. It's something that obviously to most players that don't like defending, there's not a lot of players that like to defend. We fell in love with it because we like kicking the ball, but I've seen him grow there. His understanding, we have video sessions, and his understanding of the game and points that he brings up as we watch video is very important. I've seen him be a little bit more vocal. I'd like him to be more vocal in a way where it helps the group, but sometimes he wants the coaches to do the talking, but I think in his growth and his development, he's got to become a vocal leader as well. It's not easy for everybody. It's not everyone's vocal. He leads by example, but I think if you can add that, it's a double bonus, especially from a player of his qualities.
How does coming from a soccer pedigree, for lack of a better term, affect his? How does that come out how does that express itself?
Positioning, technical ability. So I think I would be willing to bet his dad really put a focus on technical ability, and I think he prides himself on a player that can receive in tightest of areas, on a player that can shake one player and create moments for other opportunities for himself. I think if you ask him, I think you would see him that he's a player that likes to have the ball in tight areas and is willing to create something out of tight spaces.
Going back to the street style you just talked about, have you seen that between two guys in your time here?
Yeah. I think even coaching against Sounders was always like you had to watch the Roldan brother combination, you had to watch the Nico Rio Diaz combination. There was always this fun little combination that sometimes you can just narrow down on a player and, hey guys, if we press this way and close it down, it's not going to happen. Now you were talking about, oh man, how are we going to deal with the 9 and the 10, or how are we going to deal with the right back and the right winger combination?
So it
type
reminds
of
you
play.
of that.
It reminds me of that. There's some free flowing of that, and it's great to see, because the more relationships that you can have throughout your the formation that you put out there and the understanding, it's just harder for the opponent to really narrow in on and defend. Our for example, Christian and Alex could get maybe locked down that game, or it's not flowing through there. But if you have multiple combinations throughout the game that could hurt you, then it's hard to really just zero in on one sort of part of the field.
And then the Christian's ability to then widen the field and create space, and how that helps with the combinations.
Oh, absolutely, and Jordan's movement over the top, that creates space. It's so much is talked about as a defensive team. We obviously got to limit time and space, and those players that can stretch the back line and create those moments allows for everyone to have success, and allows the team to create and get done what they want to do, right? If we want to play between the lines, we got to create space between the lines. So it's so important to have those unselfish players that can, or Leo Chu, that can threaten the back line, and the team's always aware of that. It's critical.
Do things feel different around here compared to last year, not having Nico around anymore? And how do you replace his leadership on the field?
You don't replace it. What the way life is he was huge for this club. I mean, no one would ever question that. And what it does is, now when someone has to leave a place, then someone else has just got to replace it. That's just life. Someone else has got to step up. And this team has experience. We have a lot of guys that have experienced a lot of things together. So there's never been a question on, are we going to have the leadership? The leadership's always been here. It's never just been Nico. It's been Nico and a collective. And it starts with Brian. Brian's been here forever. So that's the guy that's led the group, and then the rest of the guys he allows to then become leaders, and he promotes a lot of it's your team, the collective, and that's an important message, because you don't have to rely on just one person.